Okay.
Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting in order, 6 o'clock. Well, Commissioner, will you lead us in the flag salute? Before we take the roll call, it's my understanding that Commissioner Sangha is appearing remotely based on a medical emergency. Can I have a motion to approve that she can appear remotely?
So move.
Second.
Take the vote.
Commissioner Grunsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Midgley,
Yes.
Commissioner Sangha,
Yes.
Commissioner Milas,
Yes.
Commissioner Roostaller.
Yes. Takes us to the roll call, please.
Commissioner Sangha,
Yes.
Commissioner Midgley,
Here.
Commissioner Grunsky,
Here.
Commissioner Milas,
Here.
Commissioner Roostaller.
Here. Are there any quote requests to continuous or withdrawals?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, staff would like to recommend that we hold item number 2 and move it to the meeting of October 17th.
All right. Any objections? No? Thank you. All right, at this time, the public is welcome to address the Planning Commission on items of interest to the public that are not listed on the agenda. Comments to the commission are limited to a maximum of 5 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the commission at this time? Anybody online? All right, we'll move to the consent.
Chair, if I might interrupt for one moment, I would recommend that you make a motion to continue number 2
Okay.
to the next
So-
date.
So be it. Is there a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to remove item 2.
Do I have a second? Second. Please take the vote.
Commissioner Roostaller,
Yes?
Commissioner Sangha,
Yes.
Commissioner Midgley, Commissioner Milas,
Yes.
Commissioner Grunsky.
Yes.
Okay, let's move to the 17th. So that takes us to the first item on the agenda, the consent item. I think you have something to add?
Yes, thank you, Chair. If it's going to remain on the consent calendar, my recommendation would be to allow Senior Planner Stephanie Stowers to make one modification. It's contained in your notes for the evening, but for the record, I'd like her to read that into the record.
Go ahead.
So the updated text clarifies in section 9-408140, which is the off-premise sign section of the sign ordinance, that the required separation between off-premise signs applies to all off-premise signs. So yeah, that's the change that we made.
Have a motion?
I motion we move forward.
With the addendum that was
Yeah, the
added?
addendum is presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Take the vote, please.
Commissioner Roostaller,
Yes.
Commissioner Sangha,
Yes.
Commissioner Midgley. Commissioner Grunski,
Yes.
Commissioner Milas.
Yes.
Motion carries. That takes us to item number 3 on the agenda for tonight. Staff, do you have a report?
Yes, thank you. Senior Planner Stephanie Stowers is filling in for Nancy Arroyo, who was the original planner but no longer works for the county. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. This project is an administrative use permit application for a 100-foot tall monopole telecommunication tower and equipment within a 2,046 square foot lease area. The site is located within the San Joaquin River Club. This project was previously heard by your commission in July. At that meeting, the item was tabled and the applicant was directed to provide additional details regarding the site selection process and an alternative site analysis. This information was provided by the applicant on August 29th. One of the documents provided by the applicant was a coverage objective and engineering justification. This included detailed coverage maps depicting the existing gap in coverage as well as the anticipated coverage if the cell tower is constructed. The existing coverage map is shown on the left side of this slide, and the anticipated future coverage is shown on the right. Yellow indicates marginal coverage, whereas green indicates reliable coverage. The other document provided by the applicant was a supplemental alternative site analysis. This detailed the applicant's outreach to property owners in the vicinity. The applicant attempted to contact 9 properties within the defined search ring where a tower would fill the gap in coverage depicted on the last slide. This search ring is outlined in red, and the properties contacted are noted with the yellow pens on the map. 7 property owners in that were contacted did not respond. One site was determined to not be suitable for development with further vetting, and 1 property owner did express interest but wouldn't agree to the standard terms for a tower lease. Also, 3 sites are located in close proximity to the New Jerusalem Airport, which could create a safety risk. As a result, the tower location proposed at the River Club site was determined to be the viable option to fill the gap in coverage. So that summarizes the updates that we received on the project. Just to kind of flash back to July 18th, what our recommendation on this project is that the Planning Commission approve the project with the recommendations shown on this slide and contained in the staff report that we provided with the July 18th meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Bring it back here. Are there any questions from the commission? Okay, so at this time, we'll hear from the applicant.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. Kevin Sullivan for Vertical Bridge, the applicant. Also here tonight is Bill Lewis. He's the site acquisition consultant for Vertical Bridge, who prepared the detailed supplemental alternative site analysis. We have a PowerPoint presentation. And is this, do I have a clicker? Okay.
You probably want this.
Thank you. And is there a way to highlight things on a slide?
See if you, once I get it set up and going, if you push and hold this right here,
Okay,
you push and hold, that'll act as a spotlight. And
okay. Oh, so we need, that was the one from the July hearing. We submitted one a couple of days ago. If we go and see, yes, this is it. Great. So at the July 18th hearing on this project, The commissioners told us to go back, sharpen our pencil, take a different second look at things and see if we could find some additional alternative sites other than the proposed location where the facility could be sited. We did that, and on August 29th, we submitted a very detailed supplemental alternative site analysis to the county, together with some RF engineer materials from T-Mobile's RF engineer. In the supplemental site, alternative site analysis, we looked at 9 alternative sites within the search ring to see whether or not it would be feasible to locate the facility there to fill the gap in coverage. And based on the information in the supplemental alternative site analysis, the subject property, the proposed location, was determined to be the only feasible location for the facility. Here again is another view of the kind of expanded search ring that we've used here. You can see over on this side, there's the couple of runways for the New Jerusalem airport. And there were 3 locations that we looked at that are pretty close to that runway. But you can see some other areas. Another one right up here is in a lot of habitat area, and we'll go through some of the specifics on that. So alternative 1 is east of the proposed location. We reached out to the property owner. They were initially open to a lease. Negotiations, at least initial negotiations, were started. Some paper was exchanged, but it was determined that the property owner was not inclined to agree to standard terms that are in telecommunications leases across the nation. There are just certain terms that have to be in telecommunication leases that are different than other standard commercial leases. There was a kind of an impasse at that, and then ultimately the property owner even ceased contacting Vertical Bridge and their agent. The second alternative, site number 2, also east of the proposed location, a letter was mailed out on August 5th. A return receipt of that letter was provided to us, so they got it, but then they never followed up or responded to the lease inquiry. Alternative number 3, another letter mailed out on August 5th. There was not a return receipt provided, so Bill and his team reached out to them through some phone numbers that they have access to, that they were able to find. They couldn't reach an owner, and there was no response to the lease inquiry. Alternative number 4 is west of the proposed location, close to one of the runways at the airport. There, the property owner received a letter on August 5th. They didn't respond to the lease inquiry, and there was no return receipt. So Bill, again, did some investigation, tried to find out who the owners were, but wasn't able to locate any phone numbers and follow up with a contact. Alternative 5, a letter mailed out on August 5th. Return receipt was received, showing that they received that letter, but they didn't respond to the lease inquiry. Alternative 6, the same thing, same exact situation. The property owner didn't respond to the lease inquiry. And by the way, I'm just pause for just a second. We've got 3 more alternative sites to go over, but the information provided to the county on August 29th is the same today. There's been no change in circumstances. We still have not received any response from any of these property owners from August 5th until today, October 3rd. So let's see, alternative 7, this is north of the proposed location. We sent out the letter on August 5th. We got a return receipt, which shows that they got the letter, but they didn't respond to the inquiry. Alternative 8, this site is a little different. It's a very difficult site. It's the San Joaquin Drainage District property that's right in the middle of a lot of sensitive habitat area. And we'll see here the access to the water district or the drainage district site would have to come from the San Joaquin River Club. So we'd have to get an access easement from them, and now a lease or a lease, access lease, and then another lease for the site. And that location is very close to federally recognized wetlands, protected habitat, protected species. And you can see that a little more here on this slide. The access road to get there is kind of like right along here, but it splits a bunch of mapped and otherwise sensitive habitat, which would contain species. So we've got an access road that would be part of the project that we might have to improve, that is very close to sensitive species, and the site itself may also have sensitive habitat and species. This site was rejected because with any of these types of environmental conditions, you've got significant surveys that have to be done, and they can only be done at certain times a year, and so you have a significant cost there. There might be impacts to species. There could be mitigation for those impacts. And then also a lot of times there are significant time periods of the year, 6 or more months, where no construction could happen during breeding seasons and things like that. And so putting a facility at this location just layers on additional cost and potential complications and delays. And for that reason, it was deemed not feasible. And then alternative 9, another letter sent out on August 5th. We got the return receipt back. But the property owner didn't respond to the inquiry. This alternative 9 location is also pretty close to a lot of this mapped and sensitive species and habitat areas. Alternatives 4, 5, and 6, which are on kind of the western part of the search ring, are very close to New Jerusalem Airport. And based on an August 2024 FAA Airport Master Record that we provided to the county and the commission, the airport had 4,000 annual operations. And based on the consultant's many years of experience, we know that putting a telecommunications facility with needed height to create a coverage footprint to fill a gap can create some safety considerations. I'll also note that in the City of Ana Cortez case, that's the kind of seminal case in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal that talks about significant gap issues and least intrusive means to fill it under the Federal Telecommunications Act. They specifically recognize that one of a feasible reason or a valid reason to reject a site could be interference or potential interference with flight operations. So that was why a site in that case was rejected. So Vertical Bridge has demonstrated through multiple presentations or submittals to the county, including on August 29th, that they have a significant gap in T-Mobile's wireless area network coverage and capacity. Vertical Bridge has made a prima facie showing under federal law that the significant gap can be filled only by the proposed location. And therefore, we believe under federal law that the facility application should be approved. This application complies with all applicable county codes and regulations. It meets all of the federal requirements under the Federal Telecommunications Act for showing a significant gap in coverage and the least intrusive means to fill that gap. And so consistent with the staff's recommendation, we ask that this commission approve or certify the CEQA categorical exemption for the project and then also approve the project's administrative use permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, so at this time, are there any proponents of the project who would like to come up and speak? Okay, so now we hear from the opponents of the project. I ask that you have 5 minutes to speak, and if someone before you speaks, and it's basically the same thing you were going to say, think hardly. We want to hear from everybody, but at the same time, we don't need to have the same thing said over and over to us. So whoever wants to come up first, the rest you can sit in the front row here, and we'll take you one at a time. And when you come up, please state your name and your address for the record.
Address?
Yeah, your name and address, please.
My name is Debbie Labanek. I live at 30,000 Cason Road, 1M7 Keystone. I have a question. How much due diligence is one certified letter? I heard them say they sent out a letter, they didn't get a response. They called, they didn't follow up. Is that true due diligence? I mean, if somebody was getting paid to search out sites and they're getting paid lots of money, and they sent out one letter, is that truly considered due diligence? That's my question for you and for, the project. Thank you.
Who's next?
Can I, before I start?
Of course.
And there's 3 little packets, and various ones of us will be talking about them. I just figured you guys can all have them. My name's Monica Smith, and I'm a shareholder, owner, and member at San Joaquin County River Club. And as we all know, we've been doing this for quite some time, and we're very weary, we're very tired. As far as due diligence is concerned, you will come to see that in one day, one person that lives out there did more due diligence than they did in asking our neighbors in our community if they wanted this out here. So that's a very, very good question. How much due diligence was done? Well, you're going to see what we did and what the outcome was. I also have a recording from our board meeting where Dan Deviney states that he should not have signed as owner and he wants to redo the contracts and sign as president. I hope it'll play. Sorry. Who's talking about that, Jeff?
I've got a request to the Vertical Bridge to change the wording. No, that's fine.
To what?
First refusal and the presidency.
You want to what? I'm sorry, I
You
didn't
want
hear
to
you.
change the wording on who signed it. I signed it as the owner.
Yes,
Okay, I have a question on that. You guys have repeatedly told us that this is a done deal, signed, delivered, the bell has been rung, and you can't.
So the rest of this meeting goes on to talk about how he should not have signed as owner. He should have signed as president, not CEO, not CFO. We don't have those positions. Our corporation is a nonprofit mutual benefit corporation where we as shareholders elect and yes, appoint our board members, but they do not control the corporation, we do. We all have one equal share. He openly admits that he should not have signed as owner. We've been repeatedly told by your department that that is the single document that you guys are using to determine that he had the legal right and authority to sign our entire property away. This is a project for entire property. You guys have to do your due diligence. You know how many people live out there. And as far as the telecommunications coverage, there is documentation that I've provided you guys, colored pictures. Two are the ones that they provided there before and after, where you see the magenta is just a little bit. The other 2 came from a certified T-Mobile site in Manteca, to where we took pictures of it and they show we have a plethora of 5G coverage. It's all magenta right now. So why are they getting an exemption? This isn't a blacked out area. We have full coverage. T-Mobile is one of the highest coverage carriers in that area. This is not okay. And the terms that they are using to get this pushed through are not okay. Did they provide misinformation to the FCC and you guys then? Or is T-Mobile providing inaccurate information to customers? Either way, it's inaccurate. And then the other two pictures that I provided for you guys that are color, they're talking about the airport. We have low-flying military vehicles that fly over our property regularly, as well as mosquito abatement comes and sprays. That is on the county website right now. They're scheduled to come and spray. Yes. So if the tower being placed elsewhere is going to interfere with aircrafts, the small little dusty landing strip that they're calling an airport is going to interfere with their tower, how is putting the tower on that corner on our property going to interfere with our ability to remain safe? Because they won't be able to come and spray for mosquitoes. And I'm telling you, it's very bad out there. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Arlene Fail. I'm a member at the San Joaquin River Club. I'm here today with good news. AT&T has replaced the copper wire with fiber optics bandwidth cable underground on Durham Ferry Road alongside the club and county roadways. It pleases me very much that Public Utilities Commission and our Board of Supervisors ensured the best possible coverage and outcomes for all residents, including those in our rural or hard-to-reach areas like ours. Public safety being top priority ensures residents can get in touch with emergency services when they are needed, and that is vital. At the last hearing held on July 18, 2024, the Planning Commission stated, pursuant to the Telecommunication Act of 1996, the county had no discretion to deny application unless the county can show the existence of a potentially available and technologically feasible alternative to the proposed location. With AT&T fiber optics internet telecommunications now underground should satisfy the FCC's non-neutrality order. Fiber optic networks offer greater bandwidth and capacity compared to cell tower internet. Fiber can handle higher amounts of data traffic without slowing down. This now makes it a completely better option for network improvements in our community. My opposition to the proposed application includes the question regarding the tax status change at the last hearing on July 18, 2024. We asked, will our nonprofit mutual benefit corporation status change? No one knew the answer or gave one. In the Planning Commission's staff report for October 3, 2024, it states, and I quote, regarding potential impacts of property taxes from proposed tower, property taxes are outside the purview of the Development Title and the Community Development Department. As a result, property taxes were not considered by CDD staff, end of quote. Project planning managers must consider tax status changes when planning land use. The land use planning and community development can have a significant impact on the health, safety, and welfare of residents. The quality of life are all influenced by land use and community design decisions. Title IX application regulations state prior to approving an application for site approval, the review authority shall find that all the following are true. E, compatibility. The use is compatible with adjoining land use. Compatible land use means that the way a piece of land is being used does not negatively impact or conflict with the way the neighboring land is being used. Harmonious coexistence should be the goal. The adjoining land with proposed project will not be compatible and will change our tax status we've held for 85 years. This impact will be far from harmonious, but indeed be devastating for our community already dealing with hardships from the pandemic to the now high inflation we have been facing. Rural county projects should be should protect the welfare of its residents, especially in low-income communities. I know it is unrealistic to create a completely hazard-free environment. Only the goals, policies, and guidelines should rise to the highest consideration to ensure a safe environment which the public should and reasonably be protected. I beg you to please vote no on this application or table it to find out if this proposed project, will in fact change our tax status. Our community does not need hardship on top of hardship problems going forward. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Do we have someone else?
I'm slow, but I'm coming.
I know the feeling.
Good evening. My name is Diana Pace, and I have been a resident at the San Joaquin River Club, 30,000 Casson Road, for 18 years and 5 months. There's a couple of points I wanted to make. First of all, they said they had contacted 9 different sites. 3 of those sites are the San Joaquin River Club. 2 of them, one of them was our church on our property that doesn't have anybody running it. They're under us. And they didn't get a response because they already contacted us. The second one is our courtyard, which is under ours. It's all a part of our community. So I don't see how they could have contacted 9 different sites when 3 of them is the San Joaquin River Club. Secondly, the thing I wanted to say is that their slide that shows that they have a lack of coverage, I analyzed that slide when I got home from the last meeting in July, and I looked at it and I saw that they show, it's like the predominant area that they have coverage. We take up the majority of that map that it's showing. And the amount of space that they're showing that's not covered is minimal in comparison to the rest of the map that shows that it is covered. And the difference, if you look at what is colored in on the second map, is minimal. It is not a huge, it is not, what is that they use, significant. It is not a significant difference. And according to what we understand, the first people that they approached said that they weren't really interested because they didn't like the price they were offering. But that's just an aside. The next thing I wanted to say is that I sent an email to the sheriff, to the FCC, to the newspapers, to the television stations, and I'm going to read to you what it says. It says, "To whom it may concern, my name is Diana Pace. I'm a 75-year-old, and my partner and I have been owners residents at San Joaquin River Club for 18-plus years. I'm writing this from my household as well as my neighbors, some of whom are elderly and not computer savvy. We have a problem because mid-year in 2023, our president, the president of our board, and a couple of other board members illegally entered into a contract with Vertical Bridge and Assurance Development and Barclay Bank. This contract was written by these groups and presented to our board. The board members who entered into the contract committed corporate fraud because they signed it as the owner and CEO, and they were not. The SJRC does not have an owner and a CEO. We are all equal owners. They completed the papers and certified fraudulently that this is an S corporation, which it is not. It is a non-profit organization. They said that there were issues because of our CCRs. We don't have CCRs governing us. We are self-governing. This contract was also real estate fraud because it's not their personal property, and they did not have the authority or the right to sign the lease or contract without the permission of the membership at large, and we never saw the contract or heard of it. They claim to have done a phone vote of the full board of 9. However, the date on the contract was a couple of days prior to the phone vote. So how did they get that phone vote? In addition to obtaining the signed contract, Vertical Bridge and Assurance Development and Barclay Bank entered into a 50-year loan using our property as collateral. This same contract gives the Vertical Bridge and Assurance Development first right of refusal in case we go under. but it holds the SJRC totally responsible if anything goes wrong. Because of the false pretenses and because Dan Devaney is not the sole owner nor the CEO, therefore, they also committed bank fraud because they went and told the bank that this was their property. These three things, all of these actions in the contracts and secret meetings are in violation of the Brown Act. This illegal contract can also cause us to lose our property. It can cause us to lose our nonprofit corporation status. And yes, our taxes are going to skyrocket because of it. If it's allowed to pass, it will put us all in jeopardy of possibly losing our property. The cell tower will also put the health of our residents, our pets, and our animal habitats at risk. I'm not going to go on, but I'm going to say what it said was, who have you reached out to? And we've reached out to you guys, to the Tracy Press, and to different people. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Farah Alvarez. I live at 30,000-176 Castron Road, San Joaquin River Club. I've lived there last 20-some years. My family's been out there since the inception of the River Club, so we have really good ties to it. Now, I want to talk about the due diligence on obtaining, going to other properties. You guys have the packet that Monica Smith gave you. It shows, obviously, Jimmy's. And we have a letter from Jimmy stating that he was negotiating with them, and for whatever reason, they chose not to do it. We have a couple that we did not. We actually went out to these properties, to these property owners, and talked to them. Obviously, Josh Zacharias, we didn't get anything from him, but we do have a few in here that we did. And let me get to it. RJM Vineyards, okay? They're located at 30100 South Airport Way. We have a letter in here, if you look in there, and it says they were not contacted about the cell tower, but they're really not interested in it. We're just showing that there really wasn't a whole lot of due diligence done. And Hoffman, too, we weren't able to contact with him. Fred Duma Dairy Properties. And where's he at? They're on 29238 South Casson Road. We do have a letter, a signed thing that he was not contacted about a cell tower and that he's not interested, he doesn't want it near his home. Bob Pombo at 620 East Critchett Avenue said that he was not contacted, but he is interested in a cell tower and seeing if they can do it with cell tower there. We have Mike Mateo, who's at 613 West Homestead Road, and he also said that he was not contacted, but I am still interested in the possible installation of a 5G cell tower on my property. We went out and we got this information ourselves, okay, because this is our homes. This is where we live, where we raise our children, our grandchildren, and it's a community. We're a family, and this is going to really hurt us. So you guys have the thing, and I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? And I'd just like to remind everybody again, we've heard from several folks about the due diligence. We understand that. We'd like to hear something else that we can talk about, think about.
Good afternoon. My name is Monica Trevino, and I live in 30,000 Casson Road for 18 years. One thing I would like to say is they always mention that our property is very small place. It's not. We live over 1,200 people we live there. It's not a small community. It's kind of big. So it's going to affect us, to all of us. You heard everything. I only want to make a point. Then our community is 1,200 and over people that are living. Children, older people, young people. And yeah, we don't want to lose that place because of this tower. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jackie Forbes, and
Can
I
we
live out at the
lower-
River Club.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I live out at the San Joaquin River Club, have for, I would say, 27, 28 years. My whole family's there. Again. I thank you, thank you. I come up here with all kinds of information, still going on, thinking about the fires, what ifs, what after. We have our fire department out there isn't, they're not qualified to handle a large fire. We know all this stuff, but what got me thinking was they said that the additional places that some of the places they had talked to was number 8 and number 9 on their chart. But they couldn't use those because they are wetlands. Well, if you look at where we are, number 8's here, number 9's here, we're right here. I mean, we started out as a bird sanctuary. We have birds, geese, storks, anything that can poop on your car lives at the River Club. We've got turtles, beavers. I mean, we have everything out there that this could potentially hurt. And if they did all their checking around, I know he was at the gun club because I saw him. So I know he did that. But if they could go back that far, but you can't because it's a wetlands, why can they come up just a little bit and say that the River Club is not part of that wetlands? We flood out there. We have levee watches every year. Come on. This is so silly. We're supposed to be together. We're supposed to be a club that we argue and bicker, but we're like a family. This is getting out of control. So I'm speaking personally. I don't like it. I don't like thinking that I'm mad at Dan, and I don't like being mad at Gary, and I just let's be a club again. Let's quit this stuff. Is this cell phone tower that important to break up a club that has been there for many, many years and that we've all lived in? Our kids have grown up together. My nephews have grown up with a lot of these kids. Is that cell phone tower that important to break up a whole community that we all live in? It's a safe community, We can be comfortable. I can feel comfortable my mom and my mother-in-law live in a home by themselves. Is that cell phone tower that important to give this up? Let them go down the street. Let them go wherever they want to go. I don't care. But it does not have to be in our little area. We've worked hard to keep our little area what it is. And that's it. I guess that's all I have to say. You can put your desk back up.
Thank you. Someone else would like to speak? Nope, once only.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is John Prime. I'm a 28-year member and shareholder at the San Joaquin River Club. And I just want to say, I know you have nothing to do with the contract between Vertical Bridge and the San Joaquin River Club. But I do want to say, I did read it myself, and there is the possibility if things go south, we can lose our property, and we can lose our homes and not even be compensated for it. And I just want to say, I understand that if you don't approve this project, that there are repercussions that can happen. But I would like to ask if those repercussions for any of you involve the possibility of losing your home that's paid for. I just would really like you to think about that, because that's what's scaring me, myself, and a lot of people out there. So thank you for your time.
Next speaker. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak? All right, then we'll go see, is there anyone online who would like to speak in opposition to this application?
If anyone online would like to speak, go ahead and unmute your mic.
once again, is there anyone online who'd like to speak in opposition to this application? If you're on mute, you might want to raise your hand so I can see some people there. Yeah, there is somebody I can see wants to speak, but she's having trouble getting in.
You're able to speak, you're unmuted.
We can't hear you.
Ms. Donna Diaz, we can't hear you. I see you with your hand up online. You're not muted, though. Do you have a microphone?
Maybe give a minute for
She has no audio.
Yeah, she wants to speak, so.
If you go to the Teams, give us 1 second. If you go to the Teams invite.
Do you want her to call in?
They're working with their.
We're gonna
Okay.
see if we can do it. My apologies, 1 moment. So if you go to the calendar, Teams invite. And towards the bottom, there should be a phone number associated with it. I could put that in the chat for you. See if they can call in and then we can. It looks like that.
Are we getting closer then?
It looks like she's trying to dial in.
I've posted the number in the chat with the phone conference ID, so the information. She's on the phone.
She's calling you. She's calling her.
If that's the way to say.
Okay, we're gonna try to hold you up to the microphone.
Okay. The issue is, I'm sorry, I'm 1,000 miles away. I'm in Idaho. I apologize. The conference number 847-406-772 isn't recognized, so I apologize. I did send an email to you folks, and the rest of my party answered several of the question highlights. So what I'm going to ask you about is, were there any other monies given to any parties connected to this cell tire other than the $5,000 that was sent to the San Joaquin River Club? And the other thing is, I physically touched so many owners up and down that street. Vertical Bridge did a terrible job. So that's the only thing that I can say is that I want to know how much monies has been given as finder's fees or any other kind of fees that you want to call them, other than the $5,000. We feel that there are some other items that we need to be clarified.
Okay.
Wow.
Is that it?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to disconnect you now. Thank you. All right. So at this time, we will hear a rebuttal from the applicant.
Thank you, Chair. I'll go over some of the issues that were raised. So with respect to the River Club's signature on the application, the staff report for the July 18th hearing, our first hearing on this matter at the bottom of page 5, indicates that county staff investigated that issue and determined that the person who signed the application had the authority to do so. With respect to coverage in the area, we agree that there is marginal coverage in the area. That's what T-Mobile's maps just showed. But the Telecommunications Act and the FCC's determinations with respect to that say that a coverage gap still exists when you don't have the best coverage in the area and when you don't have a coverage that meets the coverage objective of the carrier. Here, the coverage objective of T-Mobile is reliable in-building or in-house 4G or better coverage. And it's acknowledged that that kind of coverage doesn't exist out there, and especially for this San Joaquin River Club community with 1,200 people. There's also not reliable 4G coverage. The strongest coverage available is entitled under federal law for the over 18,000 average daily vehicle travelers on some of the adjacent road segments, as we identified in my letter submitted to this commission back in July. So in addition, there was some discussion about AT&T fiber optic cable in some grounds. That doesn't cover off on any kind of issue. The Telecommunications Act was intended to promote and facilitate competition between carriers. And the fact that one carrier may have coverage in an area has nothing to do with whether another carrier has coverage in the area. Otherwise, somebody had come into an area, put a cell tower up with marginal coverage, and then no one else would be able to come in. So the case authority has been clear that each carrier has a right to fill their significant gap in coverage in an area, and T-Mobile has demonstrated their significant gap here. There was some statement that 3 of the 9 sites in the supplemental alternative site analysis were actually owned by the San Joaquin River Club. That's not true. We gave you the APN numbers and the names of all of the 9 alternative sites that we looked at, and none of them are owned by the San Joaquin River Club. There were also a number of real estate issues involving the lease and other things. Those are outside the county's planning code. We met the county's planning code. There were certain requirements applicable to this project. We addressed those and we met every requirement, and they don't include these kind of real estate issues. Additionally, there was some discussion that they talked to some people. It's unclear whether any of those people are within the search ring where a facility would have to be located to actually fill the significant gap in coverage and to meet the coverage objectives for T-Mobile. But none of those people that were mentioned reached out to Vertical Bridge or their consultant, Bill Lewis. And there was also some discussion that the proposed location for the facility may have habitat on it. That's not true. You've seen the aerial photos. There's no habitat around there. The county has looked at that and they've determined that there's no sensitive habitat there. This is a vacant field with some weeds growing in it, no habitat, and the area is also bounded on 2 sides by some pretty well-traveled roads, Casson Road and East Durham Ferry. So again, Vertical Bridge has met the county's requirements. We've gone back and we've done a very detailed substantive alternative site analysis. We have supplemented our information to show the significant gap in coverage, and we respectfully request that the commission approve the categorical exemption under CEQA and the administrative use permit, and we can answer any questions you have.
Okay. So I'll bring it back here and close the public hearing. Anyone on the commission have questions for the applicant?
Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
So the question is to the applicant. I am from Tracy and I have traveled that area. And I know when you talk about Casson Road and Durham Ferry is not traveled or used that much except for farmers and the people who have their homes there. Casson Road is also not very busy comparing to some other roads. I also have T-Mobile. I have went there in different times, different days, different scenarios when it was early, late, afternoon, during traffic time. I never had a problem with the phone system. Again, when you talk about the old Jerusalem airport, that airport does not have, I'm not going to say any flights. It's definitely not allowing any commercial flight. No private jets go there. Only once in a blue moon, there are some of those little um, baby planes that take out the sprays to go to the farmer's land, to the farms, and those kind of things. We even tried to take a private jet, the smallest one with two-seater. They don't even let you land that. So it's just a dirt strip. There is not really a runway there. Uh, so I did go and do my homework after the last meeting we had in mid-July. I did meet with a couple. They came to see me. I forgot the name, but they lived there. Most of the 1,200 plus people that live there are mostly senior citizens. I don't know if all of them are, but most of them are senior citizen on limited income or fixed income. Uh, the areas that you said that you looked around for those wetland, I understand what you're talking about, that you cannot put a thing. Even though that particular area is not a wetland, there's a lot of, uh, just the other lady said that anything that can poop on your cars lives there. There's a lot of crawling stuff there. It's like a countryside. I have a lot of concern when you say you reached out to 9 other people. Why is it that out of the 9 of the people, majority of the people did not bother to respond? And why are the feds so hell bent on, excuse my language, to give people what they don't want? And a lot of people are not going to like this. It's like when Fauci was telling that everybody needs the vaccine when it was not needed. It's like these folks are saying our coverage is just fine, and you're trying to help them, but they don't need the help. There's a lot of other places that might need the help, and you can be of better use there. Me, as a private citizen, have nothing to do with that area because I don't own any property there or in at least 20, 30 miles of that vicinity. But I have taken my different cars thinking that maybe if you're in a low rider or if you're in a higher truck, maybe the service is worse or service is good on sunny days, on cloudy days. My service was just the same in the city of Tracy as it was outside on the outskirts of the city of Tracy in the county area. Um, People are so concerned about all these things. And my question, respectfully, sir, is why is the FCC so concerned and so dedicated to help those people who don't need the help? No one is there to support it. No one is there. Not a single person is there. And people who are saying that they're willing to have it in their backyard or front yard, a couple people, like one of the ladies said, you guys can talk to them. I, as a representative of this district, District 5, we do this for the people and we do this for land use. There is no commitment that says the land use lets you use it for that purpose. Uh, so I will conclude with saying that I'm definitely not going to support this. I don't know how much authority we have to oppose this because it's coming from the feds again. But as a person who represents this area in my district, uh,
Commissioner,
for
do
the
you have
sake
a
of the people,
question? The proponents or
yes, my
the
question is
applicant said,
why are they coming back with the same thing, with the same area, when the people don't want the service or they don't want the coverage any more than what they have? And I have tried it myself with my own T-Mobile. What is the real reason? Why are they so stuck on that particular
okay,
area where more than
let's
1,200
let's
people
see if we
live?
can get an answer.
Yeah, T-Mobile's RF engineers have identified that in the San Joaquin River Club community, there are residents there that don't have the best wireless coverage, and they don't have reliable indoor coverage. So regardless of whether someone can pick up a cell, cell signal driving around outside, the issue is the wireless signal close enough and strong enough to be able to, get through walls and things like that, to be able to provide reliable, predictable, top quality wireless service indoors. So they've identified this area as a gap in their network, and they are looking to serve it.
Okay.
Thank you for answering that.
Do you have another question, Commissioner?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll let some of the other
So
commissioners ask
T-Mobile
questions.
decides that they give you the coverage area of where they're lacking, is that correct? Or is it a
Yeah.
third party, or how does that work? Can you explain that process to me?
Yeah, so I think Bill can probably explain that a little bit better.
Thank you. Yes, that is correct. T-Mobile will indicate where there's a lack of coverage, and they'll issue what's called a search ring. And that's what the red circle on the map was, saying that they need a site in that area to achieve the coverage deficiency. That's the lacking coverage is determined by many factors in terms of propagation maps, as well as drop calls and potential growth of an area. And sometimes it's to offload existing sites that might be at capacity because there's too many users in that area. And so kind of diverting the capacity load between different sites. There's also, there's two different types of coverage objectives that they seek for. One is for coverage, just overall, can I make a phone call? And the second one, which is becoming more, increasingly more important, is capacity. Can I download? Can I stream? Can I get on social media? Can I send videos? That's becoming more and more important in this day and age, as well as home internet. T-Mobile offers home internet services. And so that kind of adds to the capacity. So there might be an ability to make a limited phone call while driving, but that doesn't necessarily translate to being able to actually have reliable capacity and coverage within your home itself.
Do they do like a community outreach? Like when we have a project, we send something out for a couple miles or, whatever it is. Does T-Mobile do that? Hey, we're thinking about, do they do a poll or anything? Because it's like, if I send a poll out to these people, I'd just be like, that's in the too hard file, and I would find somewhere else type situation. Do they do anything like that?
In some situations, yeah, there's potential neighborhood outreach, neighborhood meetings. In this case, we did meet with the major stakeholder in the community, which is the San Joaquin River Club. We had multiple meetings with the board.
Folks, please.
We did meet with the board, and after the agreement was signed, there was some concern about EME emissions, and we ran and provided an EME report, and we were available by phone to comment and address any concerns that anybody had at one of the board meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Mears? Ms. Lee?
Yeah. Interested, but I don't know if they're within the radius. One of them, the address is, what is his address? It's on Homestead Road. Oh, 613 Homestead Road. And the other one was on Cretchett Road in Tracy, 620.
One of the ones they actually went to, like number 8.
Yeah, it isn't one of the numbers. So that's why I don't know if it's.
We reached out to all the individual property owners within the search ring. We sent a letter to everyone that was indicated within the search ring. So those two addresses that you read off, I don't even believe they're in the search ring. The two main roads, if you look at the addresses, there's two main arteries, two main roads. There's Airport and Casson Road. So you read off an address on Homestead. I would have to pull it up and see where it's located in relation to this, but as you can see within the search map, there's only 2 major roads that intersect within the map. And I do want to indicate that we sent certified letters. We provided the certified receipt copy of the letter in the report. The letters, return receipts that we did receive, we provided copies of that as well. So there was due diligence. So there was only 2 individuals that we did not hear back from, and we went and used a service that we pay for to pull phone numbers that are associated with those names. We called every single one of those phone numbers and left voicemails with no responses.
I'd like to follow up on something that Commissioner Grunsky asked about. So do you have the numbers of those who have T-Mobile in the River Club area? Who, because you're saying they need a stronger wave so they can get stuff to go through the wall. I'm just wondering, are there that many T-Mobile holders sitting in the River Club?
Yeah, so we don't have that information. It's under the Telecommunications Act, the Federal Telecommunications Act, that's not the issue. The issue is carriers have to be able to compete with each other, and if T-Mobile doesn't have top capabilities in that area, then they can't compete with the other carriers. So it's not so much who currently has T-Mobile coverage, but who might have T-Mobile coverage if they could get better service than what's being offered by the competitors.
You guys have any other questions? All right, thank you. We're going to sit here and deliberate. Commissioner Sanha, do you have anything else you wanted to relay as we discuss how we're going to move forward on this?
I'm sorry, Chair, are you referring to me? I couldn't hear it
Yes,
clearly.
it was. Do you want to add anything else that you've already said about this project?
No, sir, I don't have anything much more to add. Like I said, a couple questions I had, Commissioner Grunsky also asked for that. And my only concern is, like, I'm just trying to understand, like, not a single person is complaining. And what seems to be the issue? We're trying to find a solution to a problem we don't have. So that being said, I will rest by saying that I don't approve of this agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioners? Yeah? Anybody? Okay, well, the chair will entertain a motion if someone would like to make it.
I'll make a motion to deny the request for the permit for this 100-foot tower in the San Joaquin County River Club area.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll make a second.
All right, call for the vote.
Commissioner Sangha?
Yes.
Commissioner Midgley? Commissioner Milas?
Yes.
Commissioner Roostaller?
No.
Commissioner Grunsky?
Yes.
All right, the item has gone down to defeat. You have the right to appeal this decision to the Board of Supervisors. And with that, I think this item is done.
Thank you.
All right, that will take us to other business. Thank you.
By the way, we do have T-Mobile and we have
Hey. Thanks. Okay. So we'll, other business at this time?
I don't have any other business to report, Chair. I do have a brief director's report, if you'd like.
Sure.
Just wanted to let you know that on September 24th, the Board of Supervisors did approve the development title text amendment to approve design guidelines for commercial and industrial development in San Joaquin County. They were happy with the recommendation by the Planning Commission. They made a couple of other minor tweaks to that, to the design guidelines, but in general, it was well received. So I just wanted to let you know that. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have some hearings, special meetings or more meetings coming up in October, November.
Yes, so October 17th, we have item number 2 from tonight, the general plan amendment rezone and 2 administrative use permits for truck parking and leisure storage. We have a variance and a minor subdivision over on Welty Street off of Ahern Road. And we have the general plan and text amendment for the alternative housing for manufactured homes and mobile home parks. On November 7th, we have another cell tower that is on 8 Mile Road and Atherton Road. And then on November 21st, we have a flood variance on Whiskey Slough Road and Holt Road. So those are upcoming meetings.
Okay. Commissioners' comments?
Yeah, is the flood variance, is that for an ag solar thing or something? Is that, I've been hearing rumors of like someone's trying to put some solar for water pumps or something.
No, through the chair, it's related to an existing building that was built for boat storage.
Got it. Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Anybody else? I do have a question. And I went before the city planning commission because the emergency food bank is I was an applicant on this one as the board chair for the emergency food bank. Can I ask why we allow 5 minutes and they only allow 2 minutes for?
I think we could switch, can't I assume that is, I'm gonna take that one. Yeah, jurisdictions do have discretion in how they want to address public comment, and jurisdictions will do different things. Sometimes they'll have a standard and sometimes they'll have project specific, where if there's a number of people, they'll reduce that. The obligation is that you allow for public comment, and there's a lot of discretion in how you do that. I do think jurisdictions do want to be very careful about overly limiting that. For example, sometimes if they allow for 2 minutes, they will allow them to speak a second time because in fact something might have been raised and they do have a public comment on that. And so there may be multiple times. And also there are places that will allow more than one comment session. So you're not locked into 5. There's discretion. But the goal, what we're obligated to meet as the goal, is to allow true and full public comment. So
What does the Board of Supervisors do?
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
I think they have 3 minutes.
I think they're like quasi.
And I would point out there are different requirements for what is considered just public comment versus hearings. So hearings have a higher threshold where you are looking at not just public comment, but you're actually looking at due process. And so to the extent you've got a process question that is higher. That's why you don't have time limits generally on an applicant or the main opponent.
Well, I love democracy, so I don't mind listening to all 5 minutes. I don't know about Mr. Roostaller.
I just wanted to ask the question. I love hearing the same thing 15 times.
If you do, it really is the discretion of the chair also. So if it is not in the planning commission, if it's not specified in the planning commission adopted rules of procedure, then generally it is proposed by staff and it's up to the chair. So I'd have to look and see if that 5 minutes is in our rules. I don't believe it is. Is it? Okay, that's where I wanted to double check on that.
And so it would take an act of Congress to change that, correct?
Well, in fact, sorry, I'm gonna make eye contact, Corinne.
We are working on it.
We are looking at an update, and that also would address the fact that your agendas continue to say special meeting. Remember, these are special meetings because we are not at the date, or that we are not at the time and location identified in the rules. So that rules update is in process. So if you have something like that that you do want to communicate, have some discretion built in, go ahead and give that to Corinne, again, eye contact. And we
Send
can
it
look
on
at
my
that in the
way.
rules update.
Honestly, the mobile home park, I'm sure is gonna be, the ordinance is gonna be very heavy, comment heavy, and we should even think about how heavy that day is in general, that night. Just
So you said
probably
it's-
gonna be a lot of comments.
You said it's up to the chair. So we've seen this place when it's filled, we've seen it when it's empty like it is now. So at that moment, can the chair say, ladies, gentlemen, there's so many people here, we want to hear from all of you, but we're going to limit your time to 3 minutes?
We have done that, and I will double check in the rules just to make sure that to the extent we're addressing both the language of the rule and the goal of doing that on the record, we absolutely can prepare for that. But we have done it, and I think it accomplished the purpose of the rule. It allowed for public comment, because the idea is if not everybody can be heard if it takes that long. So yeah, the chair gets a lot of discretion, but I will check the rules so we're ready.
Okay. And believe me, I want to hear from everyone.
I know, I know.
All right, does anybody else have any comments? All right, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.